Big week for the Chicago Bears, looking to move to 6-3. Yes, they only won 5 games last year, but it's new year, new vibes for a team trying to make a playoff push. We're going to talk about it all here with Lance Briggs here on the Brick by Brick podcast, starting right now. We're back here on the Brick by Brick podcast, presented by Circa Sports Illinois and Empire Today. Circa Sports, make sure you download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com. And with Empire Today, make sure you use the code CHGO for $350 off. I am your host, Greg Braggs Jr. Alongside me, as always, is Lance L. Boogie Briggsy, the double nickel, number 55. That's right. Back at it, back in the saddle again.
Yeah.
As the Bears here are trying to start a new winning streak. They've won 5 of their last 6, and now they look to the New York Football Giants here on Sunday to see if they can move to 6-3 on the regular season. So, you got any favorite memories of playing the Giants? If you can recall?
Yeah, I have a few. One that stands in my mind. We were in the middle of the going to the East Coast and playing. We had 3 straight games on the East Coast, and we were going to sweep. It started with the Giants, then we played the Jets, and then we went to New England. And we were trying to finish that sweep and came up a little bit short against Tom Brady, and the New England Patriots. However, the game in New York against the Giants was a fun one. Had some big plays going in and out all every quarter throughout the game. We ended on one of those, or we had one of those field goals that Devin Hester ended up returning. It was a really exciting year for us.
What's your memory of that return? Because you took it exactly where I was thinking. As you know, I know every step and every breath Devin Hester ever took in a Bears uniform. And that was one of his more memorable returns because you had it where he kind of faked out New York, like where he's walking in the end zone, almost like Clint Eastwood in a Wild Wild West movie, and then comes running out. And the best part of the return is Hunter Hillenmeyer and Charles Peanut Tillman just completely lay out 2 guys on the return. What was that like going in the film review the next week and looking at that?
It was fun. You know what? I wasn't on the field goal block team, because they didn't need me or whatever. And so I was on the sideline watching, but it was exciting to see how into it that everybody else was on that team. So when you see Hunter, you see Peanut just knocking guys down, they know that they have a guy that's going to get there. And it didn't just happen in our field goal block team. It happened to our our special teams guys. It was really special for them to help get Devin Hester into the end zone on his punt returns. Devin is he's very unique. You never seen anybody like him. And when you see that and you're one of the other 10 players that's on the field with him, you want to do everything in your power to help him get in the end zone.
Yeah, honestly, that is what made your guys' team special for sure. No pun intended. But now the special teams, it's unrecognizable this year how bad the special teams has been. I get an ugly grade from Professor Briggs here on Monday, and Ben Johnson said that hey, I'm going to be putting all my focus on special teams for this week. Richard Hightower is a really good dude. and has a great
There's a lot of good
reputation.
dudes. There's a lot of good dudes in the NFL, Braggs. All right.
Yep.
Listen, it's not show friends, it's show business. I need production.
Yeah, no question. And he was the one coach that rolled over from last year's coaching staff into Ben Johnson's. So obviously, his reputation does precede him in that regard. But that being said, now you have your head coach, Ben Johnson, who, Tyson Bagent, Carm and Hogue had an opportunity to interview him the other day. Like, he's not somebody you mess around with on game day. And now Ben's saying, I'm putting all my focus and energy into special teams this week. You got to think, Lance, that's kind of like all right, we're going to get this right. And this is the last chance for certain individuals, whether it's players or coaches, when your head coach is now taking all his time from other focus to put it on special teams.
I love it, man. I haven't seen Ben as a coach that backs away from what especially the obvious. It's not man, we're gonna have to go back and watch the tape, and we're gonna have to get better, and we're gonna have to look to see what happened. What you see in the game. What you see in the game, and it's interesting. For some coaches, they can tell you all the minute details when we're in a win and these great plays, but somehow get amnesia when bad plays happen. We know doggone well our special teams didn't play well. I'm going to put all my effort into special teams. Yes, that is certainly a message to everybody that's involved in the special teams. And it starts at the top. So obviously, if I'm the head coach, I'm sounding off. We're talking about special teams. We're also talking about the special teams coach. Okay, because if my special teams players, the way it works, my special teams players aren't performing the way that they're supposed to, that falls on the coaching as a responsibility.
Yeah. And, you mentioned you weren't on the field goal block team. How much did they put you in kick coverage or punt coverage? I know, the longer you get into your career and the more successful you were, I'm sure you were kind of probably taken off of those units, but how often were they putting you on kick and punt coverage?
Shoot, man. I was not very well, it was sketchy. It's a good question, Braggs. I'm sure that you knew to ask that question.
I really didn't. I don't remember you being on special teams, by the midway point of your career, but I'm assuming they probably put you on it early on when you were still trying to find yourself, right?
They pretty much took me off. I actually went in and I talked to a couple of the coaches, and I said, listen, I'm like backup on punt, and now I'm only on field goal block. I'm like, but coach, do you really have you seen me on field goal block? Like, do you really need me on field goal block? I said, because this special teams meeting is like an hour before the team meeting, and do I really need to get here that early? So they all agreed. They said, you know what? Dave Tope said, I don't need you on field goal block, so you're off. I said, thank you so much. I don't need to be on there. So we had an agreement, and I ended up getting taken off. I was playing punt return, and it's the inaugural first game with the new stadium in Chicago. We're playing the Packers, and I'm on the punt team, and I get, if you remember, we got blown out, right? But I was on the punt team, and somehow the Packers had a tricky punt return team, and somehow the guy got by me and blocked the punt. Okay, so that was the beginning of the fall of my special teams career. Okay, and after that, I gradually was taken off one special team after another, relegated to field goal block.
See, this is that's actually a pretty slick trick that you did. Like, if even if you were capable of doing it, and I'm sure you were, if you had put all your eggs in that basket, I'm sure you'd have been fully capable. But if you act inept, then they're like, all right, then we're not going to ask you to do it. It's a lot like when doing laundry at home. I just pretend like I don't know how to do it, and then that way nobody asks me to do it. That's the bait and switch trick there, Briggs.
But here's the key to special teams. Special teams is all about effort. It's all about effort. Okay. And I've told a few players, I said, listen, I'm just not a good special teamer. and they would give me that dumbfounded look like, come on, Briggs. Like, it's just special teams is all about effort. If you put the effort in, you can be a great special teamer. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Well, we appreciate your honesty here. For hey, man, you made a lot of plays. Because a lot of people kind of look at it like for special teams players, it's for the reserves. It's not for the star players. But as you said earlier, that was the difference with that Bears special teams unit. You had a lot of starters that played because of how much they wanted to not just block for Devin Hester, but make plays for Dave Tobe, who's still doing great things in this league.
Listen, Peanut started for us. He was always on special teams. Hunter, another guy. Mike Brown was a starter for us and was always on the punt team. He was always part of the punt team coverage. So it's that my situation is my own situation is different than everybody else's, and I don't want to take any value away from special teams because it's a very special play. And anybody that's loved Chicago knows how important special teams has meant to us. Especially from 2006 to however long Devin was here.
Yep. And also, I mean, this wasn't planned to be a special team segment, but we kind of rolled into it. That I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Brendan Iambadejo as somebody that to me was one of the more underappreciated Bears of the Lovie Smith era.
Yeah.
You guys were a 3-phase team, and many times you guys would win games because of special teams. But many times it was Robbie Gould or Devin Hester, or even the punter that would get the credit.
Brad Maynard.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Patrick Manelli.
Patrick Manelli. Patrick Manelli, the most starts ever for a Chicago Bear in franchise history. But Brendan Iambadejo, when you go and turn on the tape, that guy made plays consistently time in and time out for that unit.
Here's an interesting fact for you. Okay. It's probably the only time that's ever happened in the NFL, but Bob Babbage coached three Pro Bowl linebackers in the same year.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever happened. I don't think it'll ever happen again. But he coached three between Urlacher, myself, and Brendan Iambadejo.
Yep.
All three went to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, and when you think about that, like he ended up getting a contract with the Ravens, correct?
Yes.
And that a lot of that was based off of the plays he made on special teams. Yes, he did get some opportunities at linebacker, but obviously they're few and far between with the linebackers you guys had at that time. So for him, that just kind of speaks volumes to the kind of plays he was making, that he was able to make a Pro Bowl and then able to get a contract and an opportunity to be a starter, with Baltimore after that, so shout out to him and shout out to all you guys, because those were special times. And when we're talking about special teams, it's definitely time for this special teams unit here in Chicago to wake up, because, Cairo Santos, I don't know how you feel about it at this point, but I'm kind of at my wit's end. And I hate saying that. I'm not trying to cut anyone or fire anyone, but at some point you got to call it straight. And I know the statistics show that Cairo is a consistent kicker throughout his career.
Yes.
And maybe I'm being overreactionary or emotional but to me, when I just want somebody to try to look me straight in the face and tell me they feel comfortable when he's lining up for a kick, because at this point I don't. He's made some big kicks. He kicked the game winner against Green Bay to end the year last year. That kind of vaulted us into this year. I give him that credit, but I do not feel comfortable when he lines up for a kick. Do you?
I do. We go through these times, man. Like these kickers have some of these slumps. Robbie Gould had this deal, and we ended up getting rid of him and going through a bunch of kickers that never amounted to what he was, and he goes over to San Fran and kicks amazingly for them. Okay, Cairo over the stint of him being here has been more consistent than he has not. As of late, there's been some issues. But I've seen Cairo come through in the clutch. We've seen him come through in the clutch enough to say, hey, let's light a fire under his ass and let's get you back to where you were, rather than bringing in a guy that has looked good as of late, but his resume has said it. He's not consistent. As consistent as he's not consistent yet, and I'm not taking anything from Moody. It's definitely been a new opportunity for him, and he's been making the most of it. That could continue to be the trajectory of his career. Awesome. I know what I'm getting out of Cairo Santos. I know the distance. I know where we're at. I know exactly what I can and cannot do with him. If I want to roll the dice and risk it and move on, then go for it. However, if I want to go with what's been consistent in the past or through however long he's been here, because we've been very patient with Cairo, and I believe Cairo has been consistent enough to the point where he was the most accurate kicker in Bears history. So let's not be so fast to write him off.
Okay, I mean it's a fair point to say the grass isn't always greener, and we did learn that with Robbie Gould. Who then came back to Chicago in a game where San Francisco beat the Bears, I believe 15-12, and he had all 5 field goals, and then they carried him off like he was Rudy Rudiger, so that didn't feel good, and I know he's a diehard Bears fan. I mean, ironically enough, he was at the game when Cody Parkey double doinked off the upright and in the crossbar, and I'm sure most people would have rather had Robbie. I promise you he would have made it that night. So it is an interesting discussion. I'm kind of leaning the other way with my trust of Cairo, but obviously it feels like Ben Johnson's going to give Cairo and Richard Hightower in this special teams unit at least one more opportunity to get things cleaned up. But as we've seen with Braxton Jones or some different players here on this team, Ben's not afraid to make a change, and Ben's going to call it straight. And I think that's where we can trust that, like you said, he's not going to just be like, let's give it some time. We're going to watch the tape. No, he's going to look at something, and if it doesn't get addressed and fixed, then he's going to make the necessary fixes to get it right. So we got some different things we're going to get into here the rest of the program. Obviously, we have the blueprint coming up here in just a little bit. Jerry couldn't join us here today. He had some business to attend to, but he still gives his 2 keys to the blueprint. We're going to help you make some money later in the show with Circa Sports Illinois and DeBets and go over some of the Week 10 NFL slate. But we're going to bring back an old segment that we haven't had here in a while and have Lance Briggs give us his top 5 linebackers of all time here with the Chicago Bears, with a 5 for 55. That's all coming up next. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and 2 minutes to give a shout out to our good presenting sponsors. Want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Empire Today. Just like your favorite team needs a home field advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get that. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day of the week. No days off with Empire Today. And we've all been to those big box stores. They might have a flooring department, but the person helping you with flooring may have been doing sinks yesterday. And you can't trust plumbers. You can only trust bricklayers and, of course, our good friends over at Empire Today. So with Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard that right, a $350 discount with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details. And, of course, make sure you're hitting up our good friends over at Circa Sports Illinois as well, because whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports It's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. They are always taking care of the people. So bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Whether it's spreads, props, futures, or in-game, Circa Sports has it for you. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. That's what you get with the Circa Sports Illinois app. And make sure you're tuning in later because we're going to help you make some money for week 10 of the NFL season here. So download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Once again, shout out to our good friends over at Circa Sports Illinois. That's right. Shout out to our friends at Circa Sports and Empire Today, presenting sponsors of the Brick by Brick podcast. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Hit that like button, and let's get into it. El Boogie, we haven't had it here in a little bit, but it has returned. The 5 for 55, and gave you an easy one, or maybe it wasn't so easy. I don't know. We're going to find out, but we'll start at number 5 and work our way down to 1. And so I'll the floor is yours. Your number 5 linebacker for the Chicago Bears all time.
Ooh, okay. So here we go. This was a tough one because I wanted to go with Wilbur Marshall, but because he played here so short, I went through. We're going to go start with the 55 alley. So I'm going to start with Otis Wilson at 55. That's my guy right there. Let's go. We'll move on. You want me to go ahead and start? Keep going?
No, yeah, we can always reset the clock, but
okay.
Otis Wilson obviously won a Super Bowl, and he's still around. He's still doing things. You ever interact with Otis?
Yeah, only when I see him. We don't see each other often, but it's always love.
Yeah. All right. Well, all right. Number 4, we can reset the clock. Number 4 linebacker of all time here for the 5 for 55.
We're going to stay in 55 Valley. Doug Buffone. Doug did a lot of radio with Doug, RIP, when he was here, especially early on in my career. Had a lot of talks about playing next to the big name guy, and how we all relate. Me, him, and Otis playing next to the bigger named other inside linebacker. So it was always been fun. He was a great mentor, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that kind of transcended a few generations. There's many that remember him for his playing days, but for somebody like me who grew up, dreaming of being in this industry, I looked at Doug Buffone as the guy when I was leaving a Bears game who would just go ballistic and tell it like it is and really speak from his heart. And honestly, is somebody that in a lot of ways, when we're doing our post-game shows, like I'm a big guy about authenticity and passion, and he's somebody that it bled out of him. And I don't know, I hope he really understood how much fans like me and all of us around the city of Chicago appreciated him, because that's what we love. We want to hear that fire and intensity, and Doug certainly brought it. And I know Ed Obradovich is, still friendly with, Mark Carman, and there'll be times he'll call Mark and you can still hear OB just screaming on the other side of the phone about something. And it's like those guys, they're legends for what they brought to the radio industry.
That's awesome. Yeah.
All right. Number 3.
Number 3 is the legendary Dick Butkus. The homegrown kid, that went to Illinois and drafted to the Bears. I've only seen his film. I was never able to. I didn't grow up in his era, and that's the reason why he hit number 3 and not anywhere higher as far as my top linebackers.
Yeah, I mean it's almost laughable watching his tape, because he would be thrown out of every game that he played nowadays.
No doubt.
And he's actually kind of funny too. There's times where there's this clip of him getting an interception, and then he in the middle of the play isn't over yet. He's holding the ball in the other player's face, almost mocking him, and then turns around and starts running again. So he had a sense of humor that I think was underrated sense of humor that I don't know most fans realize, because all we know is the tenacity of Dick Bucket. So that's a good one here.
Yes, sir.
All right, number 2 for the 5 for 55.
Number 2 is Samurai Mike Singletary. I did grow up watching Mike play and seeing those big eyes with the glasses, near the, front and center on the camera. So, he was one of the linebackers that I grew up and just being one of those inspirations and those guys that whose name always popped up when you talk about the Bears. And when you talk about the Bears, you talk about the defense. So, and that's not to take anything away from all the guys that really made it happen for him to be able to go sideline to sideline and make all those tackles. But we're talking linebackers. Mike's up there, number 2.
Well, it takes a team, right? He's an inspirational guy even nowadays. He still looks like he could play. Like when you're around him, like he doesn't.
No,
he does.
He does not look like he can still play. He looks like he's in great shape. But the way I'm like, listen, I've been around Mike. And I've walked. We've had a nice little walk. We went from one area to another, and I watched him walk. And I know right now, I walk better than you do right now. I know I can't play, so I know that he definitely cannot play right now. He can coach.
Yeah. No, he's great. He's great. Maybe play golf. That's all that matters.
No doubt.
All right, your number 1 linebacker for Lance's top 5 Chicago Bears linebackers of all time here for the 5 for 55.
Oh, well, I'm going with 54, man. I got to play next to him, for 10 years. So I saw the magic. I saw, the huge plays when we needed a big play, the interceptions, the sacks, the forced fumbles, the fumble recoveries, the touchdowns. Add that stuff all up, you can talk about the play, but the numbers don't lie, and that's the reason why he's in the Hall of Fame. So Urlacher goes to number 1 in my top Bears linebackers of all time.
Yeah. He became the 28th Chicago Bear to be voted into the Hall of Fame. First year Hall of Famer for Brian Urlacher. And obviously you both, and you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame too. I'm not just saying that because I work with you. I know all of us as Bears fans, really are rooting for you to get in, and we know you deserve to be in, along with Peanut Tillman. And I don't know if it's and Olin as well. And I don't know if it comes down to, because like Ron Santo went through this with Chicago with the Cubs. Like, I don't know if it has to do with, the difference between winning a Super Bowl and not, like how many players from one team get in or what. But, to me, Super Bowl wins and losses and Super Bowls is a team accolade. And when we're talking about individual accolades, like obviously Brian Urlacher was unbelievable, but when you look at Jordan and Pippen, in the same breath, like Urlacher isn't the same player without you, and you're not the same player without Urlacher. Like, you guys fed off each other in a very special way that meant a lot to us as fans.
Well, there's a lot of things that you said, and I whether I understand that or not about the Hall of Fame, you said and what it is. It's not a team award, it's an individual award. So, the numbers don't lie. If you're supposed to be in there, you're supposed to be in there, period. It's not about how you either played next to this guy or you didn't. You won a championship, you didn't. What are these things? The things that they say you 8 Pro Bowls, it's a lock. I had 7 straight Pro Bowls. I had 3 All Pros. And then those were the awards. But the numbers, you look at the numbers don't lie. They're up there where you need it to be for a Hall of Famer. So the guys that deserve to be in there should be in there. That's plain and simple.
Yeah. Well, you, like I said, you do as well. Like, how does this, like, I don't know, you don't have to share it if you don't want to, but like, how does this process work? Is there like, does somebody talk to you about this? Is this something that you can talk to some of the voters and quote unquote campaign to get more votes? Like how much are you in tune with how this process works?
Braggs, you have to ask somebody that's in the Hall of Fame. Like, I'm not in the Hall of Fame. I can't tell you how this process works. I can tell you how this process doesn't work. That's why I can tell you how this process doesn't work.
I honestly, because I know they do voting every year and there's semifinalists and all that. So I didn't know if there's an opportunity for you to kind of like make your case to get in. Or
I don't know. I think that's one of the things that the organization, if the organization really believes you have, a 1 player, 2 player, 3 players that really deserve to be in there, helping get a push, from them, I probably would go a long way. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the process, man. I don't stay up at night thinking, oh man, are they going to vote me in or this or that? Like I rest easy because I know that I'm really proud of my career. I'm proud of the resume that I have out there. Like I have nothing to hang my head about, man. I'm in a good place.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, you guys are nominees to get in, so now it just comes down to the voting, and I know there's some other Bears, like I said, including Charles Tillman, that's included in this as well. And so it just kind of comes down to how they narrow down the list. And, some players take longer than others, and we're rooting for you, Lance, and anything we can do here or I can do, I will do. So you just we'll continue to make the push.
I mean, unless you're willing to break a few laws, you just know you can do the help.
I am actually willing to break it. I don't, Lance, I think you know me well enough by now to know that I am willing to break a few laws. So we will do this if I have to. If I have to start threatening, who's that guy that knocks on all the doors?
Yeah.
What's his name? The guy that gives it. I'll hunt him down.
We need you to put him in a rear naked choke.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I'm going to cut in real quick. Lance, I'm curious. We've got humble Braggs over here. We had humble Briggs. You left yourself out of the top 5 Bears linebackers of all time. Where would you say you do rank?
Oh man, you don't rank yourself. I mean, I leave that to somebody else to rank me. I mean, you asked me about my 5 top Bears linebackers. I gave you my 5 top. I'm not gonna. I don't rank myself. I just don't do that.
Yeah.
Humble Briggs. All right.
Humble Briggs. Very humble of you. I would have put myself first over all of them. That's how I roll.
Yeah.
But yes, just after doing a little bit of quick research as we were going through this.
Braggs, am I in your top 5 all time?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. You're in my top 5.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, obviously Dick Butkus and Brian Urlacher are two of the tops up there, and you're right next to them as well, my friend. And it is an honor. And I mean this. It is an honor to do these shows with you and hang out with you and watch games. And people always ask me, Lance, not to make you blush here, but people always ask me, like, do you pinch yourself when you're doing shows with you? And I always tell them, like, it really is, like, we've been working so long together. I don't think about it that much, but honestly, it's a credit to you because the first time we ever met, you're just such a, like, just down to earth guy. You make it easy for people like me to hang out around you without feeling like I don't belong, in your space. And so I mean that, like, it's, when we were hanging out in Vegas, I did kind of take a step back in that moment and kind of told myself, like, I'm in Vegas after a huge Bears win, hanging out with Lance at the end of the night, talking life and sports and stuff. And if you had told me that 20 years ago when I was chasing you down at Bourbonnais, tricking you into getting your autograph, I wouldn't have believed it. So, I am living a dream, and to do this every day, and you're a big part of that as well. So, not to gas you up here. I know you probably don't want me to say all this on the air, but I mean it. And it is an honor and a thrill to hang out with you and do this stuff. So sentimental time is over.
Yes.
I'll put my emotions out. No screaming. No screaming for Lance. But we'll move on to the blueprint here as the Bears are taking on the Giants here coming up on Sunday. Bears had a newcomer come into House Hall at the trade deadline. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that, but we're going to get into our keys of how the Bears can take down the Giants, and we'll get to that right now. But first, I want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Mando. I love using Mando because it helps me stay fresh for as long as any product I've ever used, and that's why I keep coming back to it. Whether it's the pits, the balls, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt crack, or feet, Mando is safe to use anywhere on your body, and it's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. It's formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts, and Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with that solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. And as a special offer for our listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. So use the code CHGO at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. And of course, our guys, Shady Rays, been with us since the very beginning of CHGO Sports. And we appreciate them because they are changing the game. These sunglasses are made for real life, seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. You know you're going to go to a tailgate or to a game here on Sunday or coming up later this season, and you're probably going to lose your sunglasses. We've all been there. But here's the wild part about Shady Rays. Whether you lose or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. Shady Rays is the eyewear that has your back, and we've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right, shout out to Shady Rays, and shout out to all you. Hit that like button while you're hanging out as you are getting closer to Thursday night football action. We'll get into some of the ways you can make some money on that game and all the Week 10 NFL slate here later in the program. But first, we want to get to our segment that we've been doing every Thursday here leading up to game day, and that is the blueprint to beating the upcoming opponent. This week, it is the New York Football Giants at Soldier Field as the Bears return home, looking to go 3-1 after taking down, the Commanders. So, yeah, this is an opportunity for them to move to 6-3 on the season. So, Briggs, as we always do, we'll start with you and your 2 keys to beating the Giants.
Well, when it comes to these on the lower end of the NFL defenses, in Ben, we must trust. Whether it's good defense, whether it's a bad defense, it doesn't really matter, honestly. But listen, all the trick plays worked last week. This New York Giants defense, they're ranked at the very back end. Let's say anywhere from 29th in total defense. They give up about 148 yards rushing. This opens the door to us continuing to be successful running the ball. A lot more of your Kyle Manan guy, especially if Swift is not able to play again this week. But listen, if we don't shoot ourselves in the foot, in which we reduced our penalties last week, and maybe we can reduce them again, we can find a whole hell of a lot more success.
Yeah, well, I mean, the one thing you do got to look out for, though, their defense certainly. I mean, they're 2-5, right? Their D line can play, right? And they've got some different guys on that roster that could potentially give the Bears some problems. So we're gonna have to see, because the Bears, obviously have really established the run here. Yeah. But you've got Dexter Lawrence, you got Brian Burns,
2-7.
2-7, not 2-5. I apologize, man. We're getting late in the season. I'm like kind of yeah. So, you've got some different people you got to watch out for. Abdul Carter out of Penn State was somebody I was hoping nobody was going to realize how good he was and would fall to the Bears. And then that didn't happen as he, had a great final year of his collegiate career at Penn State. So they got some different guys they got to worry about on that D line, but I think running the ball is going to be important on them, to make sure they can't. Go ahead.
So Braggs, here's the thing. They have the third ranked defensive line in the NFL. Okay. They're ranked 30th against the rush. They're ranked 24th in the pass. All right. They're giving up 232 yards passing and 148 yards rushing. So to me, as good as they are they specialized? Are they specialized pass rushers? Because they're not getting into their gaps. And it may not, obviously it's not just them, but they're not great run stuffers. And when it comes to pass rush, they might be the third ranked team, but they're middle of the road or higher than middle of the road when it comes to pass defense. So how are they actually affecting the Giants defense? And as positively as they're affecting it, they're still ranked number 29th in the NFL. So being ranked the third ranked defense or the third ranked defensive line, how is that really affecting your defense or affecting your opponent's ability to produce against you?
Well, I mean, Brian Burns, I think, has 11 sacks on the year, so that's certainly a specialty for him. And Dexter Lawrence is just a beast. I'm assuming he's good at both the run and the pass. And then familiar face in Roy Robertson Harris, for the Giants as well, and somebody Bears fans will be familiar with there. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bears do. But as you said, in Ben, we must trust. He's going to scheme things up properly, as the Bears have one of the most explosive offenses in football. Never thought I'd be able to say that in my lifetime, even if it is only for half a season. Hopefully that trend continues and even trends up. All right, Briggs, what's your second key to beating the Giants?
All right, so second key is we must win first down and get off the field on third down. First down always sets up the next series of downs. You win on first down, you can create a third and long situation, but if you don't, we get ourselves into trouble. This is a place where the New York Giants have been thriving a bit. They're ranked 14th on third down. They're getting off at about 50 or 60%, or about 50-ish% of the time, which is a danger for us. We can't get off on third down. That extends drives. That creates moments, especially at the end of games. If the score is close, that puts their kicker in position to kick the game-winning field goal. So we have to get off on third down.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's move over to Azuma's two keys.
All right.
Zoom's not here today, so whatever these are, we can make fun of his keys, Briggs, and he's not here to defend himself. Yep. So hopefully they're good. But his first key is minimize Brian Burns. And as I just got done saying, I believe he has 11 sacks on the year, which would be a lot more than anybody on our pass rush.
Yeah, I looked at the numbers. Brian Burns has 11 sacks. The Chicago Bears have 14.
Yeah. So from I think the danger for us is more when we look at their defensive line. It's more individualized. So we have Abdul Carter on one end. We have Brian Burns. Dexter Lawrence. These guys are going to create some issues for us in the pass lanes, especially in their one-on-ones. They seem to be the guys that are winning their one-on-ones and giving quarterbacks fits. But if we can get a hold on them, let's say we're running the ball extremely well, that's going to set up our play action. That's going to create some opportunities for our number 10 pick, the tight end, Colston. Everybody loves land. All right. And that creates some more success for us offensively.
That's right. Our number 10 pick. You better watch out. Colston Loveland gonna put Brian Burns on his butt here on Sunday.
Good PG. That's a good PG way of saying it there, Braggsy. Good job, buddy.
Well, Brian Burns, just kept going with the B's. But as we move into our next key, that is actually a good segue, because Azuma wants to show more love to the Love Land. And I like it. That's exactly what they need to do. the number 10 pick with the breakout game, 2 touchdown, 100+ yard performance. He wins NFC Offensive Player of the Week. He wins the Nickelodeon Most Valuable Player, Lance, the MVP. When you win an MVP for Nickelodeon, you get slimed.
Yes.
Would you have ever let anyone slime you?
No, I don't even like the way it sounds. Okay. I don't like the way that sounds. That's not something that I look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. The Caleb and the guys, they like snuck up on him.
Yeah.
And he had all this like green goo all over him.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I would be a part of that. But, growing up, I watched a lot of Ghostbusters, so there was always Slimer in Ghostbusters. And then if you got the action figures, it came with like slime. It was, that gelatin or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I think of the Nickelodeon slime, it reminds me of growing up and how I only wanted to get some of the Ghostbusters so that you could have the slime that you could spill all over everything and everything. So it was cool.
Absolutely. And if there is something strange in your neighborhood, it's more than likely Mark Harmon. But but just going back to Loveland here real quick before we get to my final keys, obviously this was a breakout game, but now, as you've said many times these last few weeks, just talking about the team in general, not just Colston or Caleb or whoever, but now it's time to show consistency, right? And I did see that they had him, the split wide. They had him in the slot. They even had him in the backfield. So it seems like Ben Johnson's now going to try to use him in a lot more ways to give defenses a lot more looks on where he's coming from because he has a lot of ability. Yeah,
of course. If you've seen the production from Laporta, and he's been a name that consistently comes up each week, over the years where it's like, whoa, this kid Laporta, hold this kid Laporta, hold this kid. Hey, if we're in fantasy, you better play Laporta because they go to him a lot. You know what to expect. You know what to expect from Colston, you know what I mean? And so like we joke around a lot, like say, hey, people love land, or whatever it is, but we really are, we really are. And it's taking some time. It's taking some time, and it's one of those deals where I said I do have to be patient. Braggs, you brag about him all the time, and I say what I have to say. We spent we spent our top 10 pick on the tight end, in this offense. It does fit. Have to be patient, and patience will allow us to see the fruits of his labor.
Yep. And we are in Chicago. We are notorious for our patience. We are famous for it. But you know what? We've been waiting a long time. So I think it's understandable why our patience is wearing thin. But hopefully Colston can continue it here this week against the Giants. All right, let's get to my 2 keys, Steven, here and number 5 or whatever key, whatever, I can't count. But my number 1 key is feed the Monungai. It was my key last week. And as you mentioned here with your defensive breakdowns, they're a little better as a pass rushing team than they are a rushing team. And you want to keep this momentum that they have found since the bye. And the one game where they really couldn't get the run going against the Ravens, they lost, right? And so if they can just continue this, and I have a feeling just based off of what happened last week with DeAndre Swift sitting out because the coach said that he needed a game and had to kind of protect him from himself, it would not surprise me if DeAndre Swift is still out for this game as well. Why not? This is an opportunity for you to continue the momentum that you had with Kyle Monungai and 175 yards rushing. And this guy, to me, is a bell cow type of back, a very David Montgomery type of guy. And I absolutely believe that. And that's not selling short who David Montgomery is. Obviously, David is probably the better player and has the resume and has been here for a while. But I just think it's like in basketball, fans care so much who the starting lineup is when you tip the ball off. I don't care who the starting back is between him or DeAndre. But to me, it does make more sense to get Kyle Monungai more carries early on and win that war of attrition. And then when you hit DeAndre Swift with them as the change of pace back, to me, it makes more sense. If you're going to change that pace, start with the thumper, then go with the guy that has the speed and elusiveness. And I think Kyle Monangai should be the guy getting early carries and getting fed early on, because Lance, I don't know, you can speak to this from experience. You know, when you've got a guy like that cracking pads, like that does wear a defense down as a game goes on, right?
Yeah, it does. But listen, I'm not. I don't want to take anything away from Monangai nor his performance. All right, we just recently, a week ago, we played the worst defense in the NFL. We're playing against the 29th defense in the NFL this week. So yes, feed him. You know what I mean? Honestly, this should motivate Swift. The play from Monangai should motivate Swift to play better, or to come back this week and say, hey, listen, I'm good. I want to be in a part of this. But everything speaks, it speaks toward there's going to be another successful rushing production out of Monangai or whoever the running backs are this week. We need to see this against the better defenses in the league. We see this against the better defenses in the league, and we see it consistently each week. Then, we say, okay, all right, there's definitely a flash of something that we can see that this kid has. Okay, you can't crown him. You can't crown him for doing what he's supposed to do against the defenses that are allowing that.
Yep. No, it's fair.
The defenses that don't allow it, those are the ones that we really have to see what he does against them.
That's fair. That's fair. But ultimately, this week they're playing the Giants, who, as we mentioned, aren't as good against the run. So you can only play who's in front of you. And this week, it's the Giants at 2-7. And we're gonna have to find out. But I'm a big Kyle. As big as I am with Colson Loveland, I'm probably a bigger Kyle Monangai guy.
Yes, you are.
I'm a Monangai.
You let him Monangai.
Feed the Monangai. I did see some people giving you appropriate credit because you called it the cream of Monangai.
Yeah, you know what? I had to think about that one. You won't be hearing me say that much moving forward, everybody. You know.
Is that a Wayne's World reference?
Cream of some young guy. I don't know. You know what? Honestly, I said it. I said it out loud, and I heard what I said, and you won't be hearing me say it again. You won't be hearing me saying that.
Okay. Okay. Well, somebody asked if his nickname should have been Cream based off of that, but I don't know if you're aware of this, and you say no. I don't know if you're aware of this, but on Twitter, there's a guy on Bears Twitter called The Cream. I don't know if you've crossed paths with him yet, but
I'm actually disappointed that I started any of that right there, and I will be distancing myself away from that.
I'll introduce you to The Cream. He's quite a character.
Right.
All right, my final key. It's an easy one, but it's an obvious one, and something this Bears defense has been trying to figure out, and that is get to the quarterback. Pressure Jackson Dart. They did just make a trade here over the week on the trade deadline, Lance, for Joe Tryon Shoyinka. I always want to say Tyrone, but Joe Tryon.
Why do you always want to say Tyrone?
Because it just, like, when you look at it, that the Y, you're not used to the Y being in front of the R. But Joe Tryon
Let me ask you this. If he had the same name and it was a white guy, would you still want to say Tyrone? No. You want to say Tyler.
That is not why I want to say Tyrone. That is not why I want to say Tyrone. Listen, but they did bring him in, a former first-round pick, as Lance puts me on the spot here. Coming over from Cleveland, he was a former first-round pick with the Bucs. He'll get added to the rotation. You wouldn't think that he's going to be able to make an instant impact, being that he just got here on the team. Then again, CJ Gardner-Johnson just got here, and last week he found his way into a sack, but ultimately just coming down to pressuring Jackson Dart is important for so many reasons. But this is a rookie quarterback. I know he's played with a lot of moxie, but a rookie on the road, you've got to find a way to pressure this guy, get him uncomfortable, and make him make some bad decisions. Last road game, obviously playing the championship Philadelphia Eagles, he throws for 193 yards, only 14 to 24. So I just think there's an opportunity there when you look at some of their road games. They lost to the Broncos in dramatic fashion on the road. The Saints beat them earlier in the year on the road where the Giants were visiting the Superdome. So a lot of their success has come at home, and then they've had struggles on the road. And I think that speaks a lot to having a rookie quarterback in that comfortable environment that you've got to try to play in.
Yeah, and I like your key there, pressuring Jackson Dart. He's got 4 games of at least 50 rush yards this year. You want to make him uncomfortable, not let him take off, when that internal clock goes off. He also has 5 rushing TDs. That's tied for second by all quarterbacks in the NFL right now, tied with Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones, 2 guys who have been starting every game and they've had really good rush production. He's done it in fewer games, so you really do want to make him uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's imperative because, as you said, the 50. How many 50 rushing yard games?
He has 4 50-plus yard rushing games.
Because that's the other thing about him when I watch their games, and I've actually watched quite a few Giants games this year because I do find Jackson Dart intriguing, and I think he's going to have a good career in this league because he does play with a lot of confidence and he's got a good arm. But man, they better be careful with how many hits he takes. At times he's kind of he's like Cam Scattaboo battering ram out there. And I know Giants fans have certainly embraced how tough those guys play, but they've been bit by the injury bug with Malik Neighbors and Cam Scattaboo being out for the year. And I know, Lance, me and you were big Cam Scattaboo guys, and that was tough to see him go out for the year. But, at least now this week we don't have to see it, because I'd be crying this week if he was bulldozing our Bears and somebody that we wanted on the team. But hopefully
I wouldn't be crying. I wouldn't be crying, Braggs. I'd be laughing, honestly. I'd be laughing if Cam Scattaboo was bulldozing our Bears. Shame on you for allowing him to bulldoze you, okay?
Yeah,
right.
Well, he's a great player, and I just wish he'd have been on the Bears, but we've got the Manung guy.
Yeah, you got the Manung guy.
Yes. All right. Well, that wraps things up for the blueprint and how the Bears can take down the Vikings and move to 6-3 on the season and try to start a new winning streak here for the first year of Ben Johnson era, and we are looking forward to that. All right, let's get on to our award-winning segment as we do every single week, and that is with our good friends over at Circa Sports Illinois, and now we are hitting up the bets, and we are breaking down all the spreads here and lines for week 10 of the NFL season, and we are using our lines from Circa Sports Illinois. Make sure you download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's get into it. I know we got a few different ones here, but we'll start with the line on the Chicago Bears, and that is the Bears are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under set at 46.5. What you feeling here, Lance?
Ooh, I'll tell you what. I like this number right here for the Bears. I see them winning by at least a touchdown. By at least a touchdown. I think we're going to be able to have a lot of success running the ball. I do think that even with Caleb rolling out every time on these on his drops, or at least 65% of the time, he'll be able to avoid some of them. He's not going to be able to avoid a lot because he's got it on tape now. They know what he's going to do when they get a good rush up the field. He's going to try to spin out. He's going to do the old Tony Romo, and one of these guys, whether it be Brian Burns, or Abdul Carter, they're going to be waiting for it. But even with that being said, I still don't think it's enough to stop the Bears offense. Defensively, we got ourselves back to taking the ball away at least 3 times last week. That's going to add up as well to at least, I'd say we win by at least 10 points.
All right. And as we reach the top of the hour here on the Brick by Brick podcast, make sure you hit the like button while you're hanging out. Subscribe to the channel, and we have officially reached overtime here on the program. All right, we're going to wrap up here and finish up our segment with Da Bets and Circa Sports Illinois. And let's take a look at the full Week 10 NFL slate. Got some good ones. We got a Sunday morning game returning once again. Thursday Night Football just here in a few minutes. Raiders at Broncos. The Broncos have certainly had a fun season. I know all our friends over at DNVR are excited. The Raiders are not having as fun of a season. Ashton Genty still kind of looking to duplicate what he did against the Chicago Bears. Let's keep the slate up here. We'll run through these and then take a look at the lines. Yeah. Falcons at Colts in Berlin.
Colts, baby. All
right, the Colts are on fire. They just traded for Sauce Gardner. They gave up 2 first-round picks for him. The Ravens at Vikings on Sunday at 12 p.m. Then you've got Patriots at Bucks. That's
game of the week.
Intriguing matchup with Drake May having the year that he's having. Lions at Commanders. The Commanders lose Jaden Daniels for a long period of time. That was a nasty injury Jaden Daniels took.
Very much.
We're hoping for a speedy recovery for him. The Lions are certainly, the team to beat in that game. You got the Rams at 49ers at 325.
Take the Rams.
And Steelers at Chargers on Sunday Night Football. And then we get to finish the week with Eagles at the Packers after the Packers fall to the Arizona Cardinals, Lance. Let me ask you this with the
Panthers.
That's what.
The Panthers.
Packers lost to the Panthers. What did I say?
Cardinals. They almost lost to the Cardinals.
Oh yeah, the Panthers. They should have lost to the Cardinals.
Yeah,
that was frustrating. They got lucky in that game. You got lucky, Green Bay. But I wanted to ask you with another game, international series game here on Sunday morning in Berlin. You've got games that are happening in Spain, in Mexico City, in London, and Berlin. You guys played in London, and Matt Forte had that great run against the Buccaneers.
Don't you do me like that, Braggs. Don't you do me like that, Braggs. I damn near had a pick for a touchdown in that game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
For a touchdown in that game. It was almost, I think we'll say it was like 40, 44 or 44 yards. Okay. But it's all right. I hear what you want. Go ahead.
Did you get tackled before you got to the end zone?
No, I got in the end zone. There was a penalty.
Oh yeah.
I think it was Tim Jennings. I think it was Tim. I could be wrong.
Oh, Tim Jennings, one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say one of my favorite players of all time, but like one of the more underrated Bears players of all time.
Huh.
But he took a touchdown from you. Did when a player does that, Lance, what do they owe you after something like that? Because come on, man, that's your stats.
Where no one is above a penalty. Like, it happens to everyone. There's been plays where someone's done something well and I got penalized for it. I'm sorry. I apologize. Shoot, I had a pick. We were in San Francisco, which is an hour and a half away from where I grew up. I get an interception. I get tackled. They call it back because Wale Agunlie lined up off sides. If you wind up off sides, why run the damn play anyway? Shit.
Right.
But I ended up having a pick, and it got called back, and it was in front of the hometown crowd and all that good stuff, man. So it happens.
It happens. You played in London, but is there any other place that you wish you would have played at now that they're starting to kind of spread their wings in the international series?
Well, I did my my African ancestry, and it seems that I am on my father's side. I'm from Guinea-Bissau, which is in the west of Africa. And I don't know if they have a stadium built there yet, but it would have been nice to go home and say hello, everybody, and play some football.
All right. Yeah. No, I have a feeling the Bears are going to be in another international game next year, and so we'll see where they send them. My guess is Spain. I'm calling my shot now. I bet you they schedule a Bears game in Spain next year. So
I know where they will not be. They will not be in Guinea-Bissau. They will not be.
I'm hoping for Dublin, actually. But Lance, while you were talking about that,
Ireland would be.
I did find the near interception return for touchdown. This is how close you were. That's you diving right there.
No, well, so what you don't see. So I put my hand down and I reach over the line. So it looks crazy that this happened, but I reached that ball over the line before anything else hits the ground.
Well, but it got called back.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, let's run through the lines here for these games that we just took a look at here. You got 49ers at Rams. The Rams are 4.5-point favorites. That should be a good game. So that actually that line is pretty healthy there for the Rams there. And I don't know. I think that might be closer than the line is indicating. So we'll have to wait and see. What else we got here, Steven? You got Eagles at Packers. The Packers 2.5-point favorites over the Eagles, as the Eagles, I believe, are 6-2 on the season. The Packers just lost to the Panthers at home.
I'm taking the EAGLES Eagles.
How about it? The Bears, the Packers, and the Lions all have 5 wins. Who would have thought at this point in the season that the Bears would be tied at the win total marker? Not atop the NFC North, but top the NFC North for wins.
Yep. Speaking of international games, Packers-Eagles, that's a rematch of last year's season opener, which was in Brazil. That came down to a final Hail Mary attempt for the Packers, what Jordan Love ended up getting injured on. Eagles took it, though, 34-29. I think this could be a similarly close game.
Yeah, I believe the Eagles are on somewhat of a winning streak against the Packers here. I think they beat them like the 4 or 5 last times they played them, so we'll have to wait and see. We got any more lines in here? I know we were kind of moving things around, but we'll take a look at this last one here. And this is the Lions at Commanders, heavy favorites on the road. Lions 8-point favorites as the road favorites. That's impressive. And over under of 49 points. Commander fans are feeling it right now. Lance, they lost Jane Daniels for the year. That's a tough pill to swallow for them as they're kind of feeling it right now.
That's a tough injury. You don't see that happen like that. Your body's not supposed to do that when you come down. It's supposed to bend the right way, and it's just bad. It's just a string of bad luck for him this year.
Yeah, I mean, when it happened, I thought like the way he grabbed, I thought he hurt his knee, and then they showed the replay, and that is just brutal. Absolutely brutal. And I know we all have our rivalries in sports, and the Commanders fans and Bears fans have kind of been going at each other, especially since last year with the Hail Mary and then the game this year. But you don't wish that on anyone. Obviously, that's just a brutal injury.
The good thing, Braggs, though, that was his left. It was his non-throwing arm. So in the realm of PT and recovery, he'll be able. He's not going to lose anything from his throwing side at all.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a silver lining. It's easy for me to say that, as the guy that didn't just break my arm, because it looked pretty nasty. But at the same time, you're right. Like I was even saying it before the injury happened that now that their season seems to be going the way it is going, and this is where I think going back to Jackson Dart as we wrap things up. When you have quarterbacks that play a certain way like they do and depend on their legs so much and play with such intensity and are willing to take so many hits, when the season starts to go in the tank, you've got to, as an organization and a franchise and a coaching staff, you've got to kind of protect the player from themselves. And because the juice ain't worth the squeeze. And the hard part with guys like that is they only know one way to play. So it's hard to tell them to not try to play that way. But at the same time, Jaden could have kept playing, and had he not hurt his arm, the amount of hits he takes, it's only a matter of time before he hurts himself for next year. And I think the Giants have to consider this with Jackson Dart as well. You want to develop him as a quarterback. You know what he can do with his legs. And yes, you want to win games, but you're now 2-7, bringing it back to the Giants. You've got to start thinking about the bigger picture, and you don't want to put him in harm's way of something that's going to hurt his development, that's going to affect next year for you as well. And unfortunately for Jaden, that kind of happened. But to your point, non-throwing elbow is better than your ACL or your Achilles or some different injuries we've seen. But that's easy for us to say sitting on our couch. So that wraps things up here for Dub Bets here on the Brick by Brick podcast. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Jerry will be back with us here on Sunday for the Brick by Brick after show. Make sure you stay tuned all day on Sunday for our game day coverage. We'll have pregame, postgame, and then, of course, Brick by Brick after the postgame show. So a lot to get to. Lance, appreciate all your time here today. And thank you to everybody that tuned in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as we're inching closer to 100,000 subscribers. So that wraps things up. I forgot to do it on Sunday after game day. I will not forget to do it.
Very disappointed.
As I always like to end the show. I know I'm a disappointment. There's no question about that. But as I always like to say, keep your head up and always bear down. Appreciate you guys.
We all silly like the mayor.